Hi friends, it's Sarah from rufflesandrainboots.com and I'm making a quick and free pattern for a cute 4th of July gnome. If you'd like to make it, just stick around. As always, please like this video so I know you're here crafting with me. All right, I've already shared a couple of these. They take 10 minutes to make using Dollar Tree supplies and some faux fur. I've shared Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day, and we're moving on to patriotic stuff here. So I'm going to be using these Dollar Tree party cups. They're 9 ounces, but the pattern will account for a little bit bigger. The free pattern can be found down below, and you'll cut a hat and a body. You can use faux fur as I'm using here, or raffia, yarn, anything you'd like for a beard. You need something for a nose and some sort of decoration. I got these from the Dollar Tree as well. I'm going to use the stars. So as you can imagine, we're just going to cover this cup. Now there's 2 ways that you can do it. The first is stopping right here at the brim and then cutting it off all the way around. That's great if you want to add a trim, but it's also unnecessary because I am a lazy crafter and I really wanted it to be able to be adaptable. So we're just going to tuck it under. I am using felt from the craft store. This is very inexpensive. Sometimes the Dollar Tree has felt, just don't get the white because it's very see-through. But I'm going to be just covering this cup. Now, while I'm covering this cup, I want you to know I am crafting real time. So I wanted you to see that these are very, very quick to make. It makes them great if you have a party or if you want to just bring something over, make a treat jar. I'll show you how to turn this into a treat jar basically by doing nothing other than less work. So when you get to the end here, you're just going to close it up. Now, make sure that this is set and all the glue dries. This is stuff I would normally edit out, which is the glue drying. But this part right here, you can either cut it off or just glue it. I'm going to end up covering the seam with my faux fur, and you can do the same. Oh, I got to get that little piece off there. There we go. Okay, so once that is set, you know what we're going to do. We're going to turn it upside down. We're going to grab some scissors and we're going to cut tabs into each of these. So if you want to do this, make sure you're not going all the way to the cup because we do want to make sure that doesn't show through. And now we're just going to glue this all down. So start with the bottom layer right where the 2 pieces joined or overlapped, and then just start with those tabs, glue, and pop them down. I was asked when I shared this before whether or not kids could use a glue gun for this. Absolutely. My daughter uses a glue gun, but she's 11. When she was only 5, we gave her a low temperature glue gun, and she was really, really good with it. They do have some that have nice little guards on them to help little ones not burn themselves. That said, you could also use craft glue on this. It's just going to take a little while. So if you want to use craft glue, you may want to do this for the little kids and just let them decorate. Next up, we're going to create our beard. As I mentioned, you can use raffia, you can use stuffed animal fur from Dollar Tree stuffies, you can use faux fur. It doesn't matter. Either way, we're just going to make sure that if we're using faux fur, the pile of the fur, which way it points, is pretty important. We're just going to make sure that pile of fur is pointing down, and we're going to cut a 2-inch by 2-inch square. That's it. And if it's a little larger or a little smaller, don't worry, both will work. All right, so you don't have to draw on your fur. I just did that for you. You're going to take an X-Acto knife and barely score the fabric backing. Look at that. No cut fur, no jagged edges, and no transfer. Super easy. All right, so over here, we're just gonna yank that off. You can see there's a little knot in the fur. I actually have a really big knot you'll see in a second in the front of that fur. We're gonna get it out with a little brush. All right, so speaking of brush, you can use a pet brush, you can use a comb, anything you'd like for this. You can see the knot right there. Oh, I'm just going to brush that out, and now we're ready to attach our gnome beard. As I mentioned, you can put it in the front or the back. I'm going to hide the seam. Either way, you're going to put your 2 by 2-inch square a 1/2 inch below or a finger's width below the top of the cup, and that's going to give for a perfect placement of the hat. So just glue that down. And make sure you glue down all of the sides. We do want to make sure we don't get any glue in that faux fur. It's just kind of a pain to get out. It goes everywhere. All right, and the other side as well. For decorations, you can use anything you want. I'm just going to use those little wooden things so that they match the wood bead or a wood ball that you can use for the nose. But for the nose, you can use anything you have on hand, beads, wool balls, like those felted wool balls. You can use pom-poms, just whatever you have. All right, now that our beard is on, we're actually going to create a place for our nose. I like to brush up like a tiny little bit of fur so it'll drape over the nose and then split the fur down the center. So you're going to split it until you see this fabric backing. That is what we want to glue the gnome nose to, no matter what you're using. So just add a little hot glue and press that on. Or just drop it like I did. It works. Now you can press it in. I chose not to because this cup is just a paper cup. Okay, so now that that's on there, you're just gonna brush the fur right down over the nose. And now it's time for my favorite part, which is the hat. So this free gnome hat pattern is a cone shape, which means it's going to come together perfectly. And I designed it so you could put it over the top of the nose. You don't have to, but I'll show you how I do it. I hold the front in place and then I get the measurement for the back so that I know how much to glue over. Oops. And then just add a little tiny bit of hot glue down there and, wipe it off of your actual table. And then make sure that dries before moving on. So the reason we're doing that is because it makes the top go a whole lot easier. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to just turn this around a little bit. And then what we're going to do is press it flat onto the table and then roll over that top edge. At the very tip, leave it open just a little bit, add a small amount of hot glue right to the inside part, and then fold it over. No need to burn yourself or anything. It's super easy when you press it down on the table. Now for the rest of the hat, we're just going to glue up this opening in between the two of them. And I'm going to show you, make sure to not use a ton of hot glue. Number one, if you're using a lot of hot glue on a thin felt, it could show through. You can use a thin felt, just make sure you're using a nice thin bead of hot glue. When you put the centerpiece together, make sure your inside isn't sticking. That's just check. And then glue the rest of it down. When I shared this before, I got asked if you could sew this by hand. Absolutely. To sew it by hand, you would want to use a blanket stitch, which is the easiest way. It also adds a nice little decoration. Or you can use something like a straight stitch if you're really crafty. You can do a cross stitch up the back, or you want to teach kids. That is super easy. It will all work. All right, so now I'm going to slip this on and you can see that it will be friction fit, meaning you do not have to glue it down. So what you do is pop it over the nose and then you can tug it down and back. Okay, ready? So we pop it over the top of the nose and then tug it down and back. Well, line up the seam with the actual back. There we go. And it can stay like that, okay? Or you can tuck some treats in here. I'm all about the treat jars, right? So let's say you want to make a few of these for a party favors. That is like an easy way to send somebody home with just a sweet treat. You can also pop in some lollipops, and we even did rock candy for one. But if you want to make it permanent, you can actually stuff polyfill up the hat, even using the tip of your scissors to tuck it all the way in. If you use polyfill, I do recommend securing the hat. But if you don't want to, you don't have to, because you can take these apart to store them and you can even stack them inside of each other, which is what I really liked about it. So I'm just lining the back of the hat up, pulling everything down, and I'm just going to glue this little brim in place. This is so easy, right? I love easy crafts during the summer. They have to be easy. They have to be quick. I love them. So I can get back out to the pool. All right, so now it's your choice, but I chose to decorate with these little Dollar Tree icons. They are in like a little like tic-tac-toe grid, and they're super cute. They came in fall, Christmas, and then I had some spring and summer. So I'm choosing the summer pack, and not from the Dollar Tree is some embroidery thread, only because I wanted to match that bright blue of my bottom piece of felt. If you're looking to go with all Dollar Tree items, however, you can use the Dollar Tree cotton rope or the jute twine to make your hanger. You're just going to measure it by eyeball, see where you want it, and then I'm just going to match whichever side. One of the sides is darker and one is lighter. So whichever side matches, you flip it over, add a little dollop of hot glue, and then take that a little bit long piece in right through that hot glue, and then let that dry. And you're just going to cut off the little bottom piece and hang it on your gnome. Now you can obviously get a lot more fancy with your decorations, but I was going for a minimal theme with mine, with all of these actually. Here is our little guy, and that is it. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of this? Do you love him? As always, you can get the free pattern down below, and thank you so much for being here. Please like, please share, and subscribe for more crafty fun.